Moat and Main, hedge fund thinking for your daily life. There's a sentence almost every American hears eventually. Renting is throwing money away. And on the surface, it sounds obvious. When you rent, your money disappears every month. When you buy, you build equity. Case closed. Except, that logic is incomplete. Because what most people compare is rent payment versus mortgage payment. But that's not the real comparison. The real comparison is this: what happens to your money after housing costs? And once you look at it that way, the answer gets uncomfortable. Because mathematically, renting often wins. Especially in expensive cities. Especially at high interest rates. Especially when people underestimate the true cost of ownership. And this creates one of the most emotionally charged debates in finance. Because buying a home is not just a financial decision. It's psychological. Identity-driven. Emotional. Which means most calculators fail immediately. Because they pretend humans are robots. And that brings us to the hidden variable almost every rent versus buy calculator ignores. Here's what happens if we remove emotion entirely. Lifestyle benefit, 0%. No emotional value from ownership. No pride. No stability. No psychological benefit. Just math. Now watch the comparison after 10 years. The renter invests the difference between renting and owning. And suddenly, the renter's portfolio is larger than the homeowner's equity. Why? Because ownership is expensive in ways most people ignore. Property taxes. Maintenance. Insurance. Closing costs. Opportunity cost. HOA fees. Mortgage interest. A house is not just an asset. It's also a consumption good. And the higher mortgage rates go, the more expensive that consumption becomes. Which means something strange happens: at high enough prices, renting plus disciplined investing can outperform buying. And that statement alone makes people emotional. Because for decades, homeownership has been treated almost like a moral virtue. But finance doesn't care about narratives. Only cash flows. And yet, millions of intelligent people still buy homes. Not because they're bad at math. Because they value things math struggles to measure. Stability. Control. Belonging. Predictability. Identity. You can't easily put a dollar value on, knowing your landlord can't raise rent next year. Being able to renovate your kitchen. Raising kids in the same school district. Or simply feeling like the place you live is truly yours. And this is where the internet gets trapped. One side says, buying is always better. The other says, rent and invest the difference. But both sides miss the point. Because the answer depends on something deeply personal: how much emotional value ownership creates for you. So I built this calculator around a variable most tools completely ignore. Lifestyle benefit. This slider tries to quantify the emotional and lifestyle value of owning a home. And watch what happens. At 0%. Renting wins. But now we increase the lifestyle benefit to 2.5%. Not a crazy number. Just enough to represent stability, control, predictability, and emotional satisfaction. And suddenly, ownership pulls ahead. Not because the mortgage changed. Not because the market changed. Because the value changed. This is the hidden truth about financial decisions: most major life choices are not purely financial. They are utility decisions. And utility is personal. The reason people get trapped in bad housing decisions is because they confuse social pressure with financial logic. People buy homes because their friends bought homes. Their parents expect it. They fear being left behind. They want status. They think home prices only go up. And during low-rate periods, those decisions often look genius. But when rates jump from 3% to 7%, the math changed dramatically. Now monthly payments exploded. Which means buyers today aren't just buying a home. They're buying leverage at a very different price. And this is where Charlie Munger's mental model becomes useful. Invert. Instead of asking, why should I buy? Ask, what would make buying a terrible decision? Maybe, you move often. Your career is unstable. You hate maintenance. You're stretching financially. Or you're buying mainly because everyone else is doing it. Those are dangerous reasons. Because houses are incredibly illiquid assets. Buying the wrong house at the wrong time can trap you financially for years. The real trade-off is not rent versus buy. It's this, optionality versus stability. Renting gives you flexibility. You can move cities. Switch jobs. Downsize quickly. Avoid large surprise costs. Invest capital elsewhere. Buying gives you stability. Your housing costs become more predictable. You build forced equity. You establish roots. You reduce uncertainty. Neither is automatically superior. They optimize for different lives. A 24-year-old software engineer in San Francisco, and a 38-year-old parent with 2 kids, should not make the same housing decision. Because they're solving different problems. And this is why generic financial advice is dangerous. The correct answer depends on your city, your time horizon, your income stability, your investment discipline, your emotional preferences, and your lifestyle priorities. That's why I built this calculator. Not to tell you what to do, but to force better thinking. You can change the city, home price, rent, mortgage rate, investment return, maintenance costs, taxes, down payment, and lifestyle value. Because the goal is not finding a universal answer. The goal is understanding your trade-offs. Watch what happens when we switch cities. New York. Houston. Chicago. Completely different outcomes. Because housing is hyperlocal. And the right answer in one city can be the wrong answer somewhere else. The bigger lesson here has nothing to do with housing. It's about how to think. Most people search for universal answers. Because uncertainty feels uncomfortable. But reality is messier than that. Financial decisions are rarely just spreadsheets. And they're rarely just emotions either. The people who make the best decisions understand both. They understand math. And they understand themselves. That's the real edge. Not blindly buying. Not blindly renting. But understanding what kind of life you're optimizing for. If you want to test the numbers for your own situation, I made the calculator completely free. Pick your city. Adjust your assumptions. Set your lifestyle value. And see the trade-offs clearly. Because the goal isn't winning an internet argument. The goal is making a smarter decision for your life. Try the calculator below. And if you want more mental models like this, subscribe to Moat and Main, Hedge Fund Thinking for Your Daily Life. Moat and Main, Hedge Fund Thinking for Your Daily Life.